Hi, my name is Opti, and I'm a mythologist. And usually, when I tell people I'm a mythologist, I get some similar reactions. Usually, I hear about how much people love Greek and Roman mythology, or how they once read The Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers, and other references that harken back to one's studies in grade school or their brief foray into 101 courses in higher education, which is understandable because this is usually as far as Western education goes on the matter of mythology. That is, the study of myths. I can think back to the first time I was captivated by mythology while reading Beowulf in 11th grade English. Or while completing my undergraduate in English, I too fell in love with Joseph Campbell's work, much like every other liberal arts major out there. This was all I had to go on for what constituted mythology, and so I ran with this for years. But at some point, my notion of what exactly entailed mythology was challenged. And when I started digging deeper, I found that these stock ideas of how mythology is studied were fruitful endeavors to be sure, but such a smaller part of an enormous field. Let me explain. What I found is that mythology is not that cut and dry. It can be a complex and sometimes strangely controversial field that encompasses other areas of study like history, philosophy, religious studies, psychology, literature, science, and anthropology, just to name a few areas of what is principally an interdisciplinary field. Now, if you've never considered the breadth and depth of mythology as a field like this before, allow me to ask you a question. What is mythology to you? If you were to go and look it up and try to put it in your own words, the simple answer might come back as mythology is the study of myths, and myths are stories. But a better question to raise would be, what is it about these stories that makes them myths? Is it their characters and their journeys? Is it that they deal with extraordinary beings or circumstances? Is it their ability to constantly intrigue us long after they were created? Maybe it's as simple as how they make us feel. Or we may even ask the question, how can things that aren't even stories, like language, symbolism, and politics, be considered myths? Or a more pertinent question to this channel that I would like to propose to you is, how can your favorite anime, cartoons, comics, or video games be myths? What if your favorite anime could teach you about rising to heroism? Or what if we could explore how a video game recasts reoccurring mythological themes but in a new light? What do your favorite cartoons say about the society they reflect? These questions reflect deep themes that run within mythology, and my goal is to help you learn how to ask these questions yourself and reflect, mythically, of course. In my studies, I've come across notions that mythology is dead, that we live in a mythless society. And while some may claim that we live in a mythless society, I argue that myths are as alive as ever. They have simply been transformed and therefore make it harder for us to notice them. But not only that, I believe we lack the tools to properly analyze myths, including a functional, unified definition of what a myth is. And so my goal as a mythologist is twofold. First, to take the needlessly complex field of mythology and break it down for the everyday person who wants to learn a little bit more about the myths they love. And second, and this is the fun part, to analyze the myths behind your favorite pieces of pop culture. So if that sounds good to you, feel free to stick around, and I can't wait to bring you along for the journey.